Hello and welcome back to the Babylon.js Inspector tutorial series. I'm Nick. You can see me on the forums as Dregex, and in our last video we covered the scene properties, so today we'll be covering the camera properties. So I have a model loaded into our sandbox, and we can find the camera by expanding the nodes and clicking on our default camera. So by default we give you a arc rotate camera, and that allows us to look at a target and rotate around it. So we can control how near objects need to be to the camera to be rendered by setting our near and far clipping planes. Anything closer than the near plane gets clipped out, and likewise for anything farther than the far plane. You can also control just how much the inertia of the camera propagates by adjusting the inertia property. So setting it low will not allow it to move around too much. You can also adjust the field of view. So if you wanted to set up your scene with more of a fisheye effect, you can increase your field of view. Likewise for having more of a narrow view. And so we allow you to choose between a perspective and an orthographic camera. So a perspective is like how we see in the real world. As things get farther away from the camera, they get smaller, and likewise for if they get closer. Meanwhile, for an orthographic view, I want you to picture a picture frame, and we're taking our 3D model and smashing it into that picture frame. So currently we're looking at a bit of nothingness because our orthographic viewing plane is set to all zeros. So if we think of the center of our screen as 0, 0, we can set the left side of the screen to be 1, top side to be 1, the left side to be -1, top side to be 1, the right side to be 1, and the bottom to be -1. And that should allow us to see something. And here is our haunted house. And so it's a little small. This model is only about 1/4 of a unit large, so we can reduce this by a factor of 1/4. So let's give it a 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and -0.25. And here is a nice haunted house. As you can see, there's a bit of distortion, and as said before, literally we're smashing this camera into something that's we're smashing our model into something perfectly flat. Like we still have all the angular controls, and you can see the model from all angles. It just appears differently because we're projecting it differently on our screen. So let's go back to our perspective view. And as you can see, as I pan around our object, we can see the different viewing angles of the camera. Now, this is an arc rotate camera, and so we control the horizontal angle via the alpha and the vertical angle via the beta angle. And so adjusting that allows us to adjust our view angle, and we can see just how close we are to our object by adjusting our radius. We provide some more controls for just how much we want our camera to move around in the scene via the angular sensitivity, panning sensitivity, and pension wheel deltas. If we wanted to allow this camera to be affected by physics imposters, we can always check collisions, or enable the check collisions option. Now let's talk about our limits. We can set limits on the alpha and beta angles. We can gate it between a lower and upper value. So currently we have a lower beta limit of 0.1, allowing us to look just above the top of the object, and an upper beta limit of just around pi. So we can see the full half circle around our object. Now, let's say we don't really want anybody to view beneath our object. We can set a lower upper beta limit. So let's try 1.5. And so that will constrain us between the horizon and the top of the object. And so that's good for setting up a more constrained scene. So as said before, this is the arc rotate camera. We have plenty of cameras available, so if you'd like to, feel free to look in our documentation and try out any of our other camera types. So if you like this video, please feel free to check out our other videos. Coming up next is a tutorial on material and texture properties. And as always, please consider subscribing or following us on social media. Thank you and have a nice day.